And now on Who's Views, it's time to join JT, Paul, and Third Doctor Ian for the latest headlines.
Hello, everybody. It is us here at Who's Views. How are you? Good to see you all. This is your big show on Wednesday, the 16th of April, 2025. A big day here in the United Kingdom for good old common sense. Yes, it's something that you're not allowed to have usually here in this part of the 21st century, but by God, it is around, and we certainly have it here. Because have you heard? Yes, the Tennants, RTD, Dawson, and many other of their little cult-like friends will be very, very angry at this particular moment. It's not an easy week for them, for Doctor Who, or any of them involved with Doctor Who, because not only have these people producing our beloved show been handed the worst overnight ratings in Doctor Who history on Saturday for the Robot Revolution, but today, well, yes, not content with the public, the UK public basically saying we don't like your show and handing it back to them, but the ideological driven far leftists, of which they are all part of, have had it hit to them right between the eyes by the Supreme Court here in the UK. We're going to be getting into that for you very shortly. Plus, during this show, Bedouir is here with the first in our series of ratings analysis for 2025. And just to remind you what we're talking about, it's that 2 million, everybody. Shock, horror, absolute shock and horror, isn't it? But yes, that's all coming up for you in the show. Great to see you. Let's bring the guys on, shall we, and get right into this. I am here with Third Doctor Ian, and I'm here with Paul. Hello. Wow, what a day
there,
today.
hello.
What a day.
Yeah, what a day. Not before time, finally.
Yeah. Common sense hits out again, obviously, everybody. Right, so let's get into this straight away, because for those of you who don't know, those of you who are waking up with us in other countries, good morning to you. I hope your Weetabix is nice. For those of you who have been at work and you've been very busy today and you haven't heard the news, this is groundbreaking news today, because today was a big day. Because the UK's highest court, the Supreme Court, has today ruled that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. Who'd have thought it, guys? Who'd have thought that in the 21st century we would have to actually say that a woman is a woman? A woman has a vagina, a man has a penis. But this is all coming out because the Scottish government included transgender women in quotas to ensure gender balance on public sector boards. They've also been putting transgender women or men that have been identifying as women into women's prisons. That's a whole other discussion. But this has been going on for some time. Now, the campaign group for Women Scotland in Scotland argued, how dare they, that sex-based protection should only apply to people who are born female. Today, at the Supreme Court, the judges who had been tasked with deciding on the correct interpretation of sex and women in the main piece of legislation agreed. And the shortfall of this, guys, is very much a case that they have basically said a woman is a woman, a trans woman is not and is male. Women's spaces are vital and are valid. And I mean, this is, I can't believe in the 21st century we're having to have this conversation. Isn't it amazing?
It beggars belief you have to go to court to decide this kind of thing. You know, you can't listen to medical science and things like that, or anatomy that you've grown up with in biology at school, all those kind of things. It's madness, utter madness.
Yeah. This was a lot of
very bizarre.
A lot of the newspapers have started, as soon as this was announced this morning. This was one from The Independent with a video. Patrick Hodge, Deputy President of the Supreme Court. Trans women are not legally women under the Equality Act, the Supreme Court rules. It is totally bizarre, Ian. It's just, I can't believe 2025. And these people were putting us back 40, 50, 60, 70 years.
Well, if you go back to the 1980s, 40, 45 years ago, this would not have been in question. It would have been a woman is a woman and a man is a man. It wouldn't have even been questioned. So I don't know what people think about thinking 45 years later we've actually advanced, because it feels like we've gone backwards. The fact that we've had to do this. I mean, I don't know what the court rulings are going to be tomorrow, that fire is hot perhaps, or that water. just some other stating the bleeding obvious rules and regulations. But if it's needed to put some of these absolute nutcases back in their box, these people that are dangerous to women, you know, those people with an XX chromosome, you know, if they need putting back in their box, then thank God for this, because now that box is waiting for them to be put back in, and hopefully the lid will be on securely and they won't get out again, because they're absolute bonkers, really. But you know,
the thing about the wording of this case that they had that got me today particularly, which I thought was a no-brainer, was they said that this is not a victory for either side. It clearly is a victory for women's rights. So why didn't they say that? I don't understand.
Well,
they're
because
desperate not to offend, though, aren't they?
I see, yeah. But that's the problem, because then that's going to be open to interpretation by the cult, isn't it? That's what's going to happen, isn't it? You know. So,
well, I mean, I'm concerned now that even though this is a major victory for truth and common sense in the UK, and it will have effects around the world, it really will, as we have had in the last year to 2 years, where LGB people have been standing up against the TQ cult and saying, no, we want LGB without the TQ. Something that we know that people involved with Doctor Who are totally against. But it's a real case now where they will come back stronger. They will really do. And also the cope, as people say these days, the cope from them is astronomical. And I think it's going to get worse. So stay with us here on Who's Views. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure if you have subscribed, you're still subscribed, because this makes everything that has happened in Doctor Who recently utter nonsense. The Star Beast, anyone?
Well, I need to start putting trigger warnings on those episodes as well, I'd imagine, yeah. So.
But it's bizarre, though, isn't it? Because, you know, I think we may have said this before. You go 3 or 4, maybe 5 years when there was a certain virus doing the rounds. Because we've got to be careful with what we say, haven't we?
Yeah.
With regards to that. And the obsession with the authorities saying, follow the science. And then you get this, and it's follow the batshit ideology, ignore the science. In fact, you'll go to prison if you quote the science. You know, and which is it? Do we follow the science or don't we follow the science? They can't have it both ways, but they want it both ways, of course.
Of course they do. Absolutely. Thank you, Mark Greaves, for your super chat. Appreciate that. My friend Jackie Chan, his pronouns were hiya. Yeah. So this is what they're going to be protecting now. This ideological nonsense they've been enforcing and dictating onto the world for nigh on. Well, I've been involved in the battle for about five years, maybe 6 now, with all this nonsense. And they've really been pushing this non-binary delusion as well. And we all know the names that have been doing it in Doctor Who, but they are really, I think they're going to start to come out fighting now. And really pushing us. We've got to stand our ground with this and not get complacent. So I've been telling a lot of my female friends this afternoon when we were celebrating this. I'm too overwhelmed by this woman definition nonsense to have a view. I'm going to stay out of that one, Matt the Sally Week. How can you? It's not a view. It's a fact. If you've got a penis, you're a male. If you've got a vagina, you're a female. End of story. You cannot change your biology. It's as simple as that. You can alter it with cosmetic surgery and all this sort of stuff, but you're going to be what you were born. And quite frankly, I don't think you should. I think you've got to pick a side. This is a terribly important battle. It is, because these people from the far left are inserting this into our lives, enforcing us. And quite frankly, now in the UK, thank God the Supreme Court has said no. So that nonsense is going to stop. And let's just think for a second about all these businesses and charities and organizations that have been captured by this utter nonsense and have now got egg on their faces, shall we? How stupid are you lot? Because they thought they were jumping on the bandwagon of supporting LGB. You weren't. You were supporting a homophobic, misogynistic cult. Congratulations.
The next stage, though, will be to challenge this with an appeal to the courts again, no doubt. That'll be the next stage, probably.
I don't think they could actually afford it, to be quite honest. You know, because it's ridiculous, isn't it? The whole thing. Listen, there's a lot of you in the chat. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Nice to see you here on your big show. There has been. I was looking, and I was saying to Kirsty early on, go and see what RTD's saying. Go and see what RTD's saying, because at some point he's going to say something. You just know he is, don't you? He's going to say something.
He's got no control, has he? He's got no over his mouth. He just spouts.
Well,
off.
after what he said about President Trump, etc. So I'll be surprised if he's not said something about it. Yeah. So.
He'll be very wise to say it at another LGBTQIP plus whatever it is, whatever acronym they want today, awards ceremony where he's among his own people.
Yeah.
And then we'll criticize him when it's leaked, you know, because if he says something in public now, he's toast, and that's not going to help Doctor Who either. But a forthcoming Doctor Who writer, the well-known homophobe Juno Dawson, he has been on his Instagram today. Look at this. Really pushing the point there. Trans women are women, and no, they're not, sir. And then he's gone through all these stupid things on the left here. 6.34 million people are waiting for NHS treatment. You know, all these statistics. 6.5 million households live in fuel poverty. 2 million have disconnected their own power because they couldn't afford it. Women over 80 had the highest success rate during Cold War. All these things that are very, very important. But then at the bottom he's put, but let's focus on the definition of a woman because that's the real crisis. What an ignorant little toe rag this man is.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a real crisis, quite frankly, because men have been going out and calling themselves and self-identifying as a woman and getting themselves into female spaces. I mean, have you ever heard of the like? Here in Scotland, apparently we've got 2 or 3 women in a women's prison pregnant.
Yeah. That's some kind of miracle, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah.
What is it? The Immaculate Conception?
It has to be, yeah.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Utter nonsense, isn't it? But that's
I'll tell you though, these are absolutely delicious. They're refreshing. They're glorious. And especially today.
You're going to love this one from him then. He says, I'm a woman today, I was a woman yesterday, and I will be a woman tomorrow. I've got news for you.
What a short memory he's got.
Yeah, well, I've got news for you, Juno. You never were, you're not, and you won't be. Trans women are not women. It's as simple as that. And that now has been recognised by the UK Supreme Court. It's common sense. You're a trans woman. Just get on with it. Okay.
So if you have an organisation now that promotes the ideology that a trans woman is a woman, are they breaking the law?
Well, they will be breaking. I don't know if it's the law. No, because the law you can still self-ID. So there's now a pressure group on Starmer to change that to say you can't self-ID. So that's the next big thing. In Scotland, the alleged First Minister, he's actually come out to say he's not getting a name check because I don't like him, but he's come out today to say that the Scottish government will recognise the result of the UK Supreme Court. Now that's a big step if they do, because the Scottish government is so far left and so ideological driven. They've been enforcing all this stuff, all this pronoun nonsense, and that's what brought the other one down, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was.
Oh, cranky, you know. Yeah. That's what brought her down. So anyway, stay tuned, because as I say, this is going to have an effect now on the reaction to Doctor Who, especially something like the Star Beast and stuff like that, and whatever's coming in the next episodes.
Do you mean episode 6?
Well, yeah. Who knows about that? Yeah. Will the BBC be actually be praying now for the football to go over so they don't have to go in? I don't know, but it's all there. It's all there. But oh, Who Views, it's great to see you all. Thanks for all your comments and your chat here. Oh, don't, Jane. Jane Smith saying to me, how come Juno wrote books about gay sex? Well, Juno Dawson, under his previous name, which I can't remember now, he was a gay man and he decided it wasn't for him. But that's where all the homophobia came out, because he said,
was it not James? Was it not James? Was it not?
I think it was James. Yeah. James something.
Yeah.
I basically tried to forget all about him. Bedwi is actually saying behind the scenes, penalty to Arsenal in Madrid.
You mean he's watching football, not the show? That's just great, isn't it? That's incredible. Yeah.
I don't know what that means. No idea. Steve Henley, hello, Steve. Good to see you all in the chat. RTD is not having a good week. First the overnights and now this. I know. If I cared, I'd ask somebody to go and check on him, but I don't, so I'm not. Garbage wants to know, will next year be an anniversary of Common Sense? I hope so.
Hoping. Yeah.
Thank you to both Garbage and Kirsty, who's in the chat as well, laughing at Ian there. Look.
Kirsty, you're on your honeymoon. Get off of this and do something else instead.
She's an absolute legend, isn't she?
Yeah, she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Hope you're having a lovely time, lady. I'm not jealous.
I am.
Woodhouse 122 is with us. It'll not be long before RTD and Tennant spout their rubbish over the subject. Bring it on, because they are deluded. There is no such thing as non-binary. There is no such thing as trans women being actual women. And of course, it goes the other way as well. Trans men are women. Okay, that's it. We've been saying it for years, and I'm so pleased today for all those women that have been fighting so hard in the country today to get their voices heard, because their rights were being diminished on a daily basis, and now it looks like it's going to be okay for that. So there's other things that have got to come on the back, but they cannot now allow a man, even if it's a trans woman, to be in a space. It's also great for LGB people, because for years now we've had LGB bars and clubs. If you don't bend the knee, you're thrown out. That happened to some friends of mine recently. You won't believe this. Some friends of mine had come over from America, and they came here. That's fine. Then they went to Dublin, and they were thrown out of a gay bar for not bending the knee in Dublin. Now, I know things are bad in Ireland. I know things are really bad in Ireland, but that's not the Ireland I know. And it's certainly not the Irish gay bars, because they had a tough time in the 80s and 90s. Now look at them, completely the other way. But that's not something, the message you want to take when you've got visitors coming into your country from another country, is it?
No.
You get out, heaven's sake, Anyway, yes. So there's lots of you in the chat. Tim Kintz is saying here, good evening, congratulations to women's rights campaigners across the country. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got a lot coming up for you tonight, everybody. So I'm going to move on at that point, if you don't mind. And we'll come to that, because I want to talk about cope. Apparently that's a word that the youth are using these days. The cope.
Yeah, Kirsty, can you tell me what that means, please? Thank you.
Right, Charlie, thank you very much. Right, Charlie was just keep speaking the truth, JT. Well, we have to. We really do. And Sandra Hammerslag, nice to see you as well. Good to see you. But yeah, look at this, everybody. Have you guys seen this week? From the radiotimes.com, Doctor Who confirms overnight ratings for the Robot Revolution season 15, launched on BBC One last night. So obviously this is from Sunday. The ratings are in for the debut episode of Doctor Who season 15, which took viewers on an intergalactic adventure in the Robot Revolution, blah, blah, blah. Season 15 returned to BBC One at 6:50 Saturday, 12th of April, and received an overnight rating of 2 million viewers. The viewership marks it as the fourth most watched programme of the day and second most watched with BBC One, just slightly behind the Gladiators' 2.9 million viewers. As they always stress, the overnight figure does not take into account anyone who watched the episodes on BBC iPlayer, where it debuts at 8 a.m. on Saturday, prior to its BBC One broadcast. The consolidated ratings, which include iPlayer, devices and catch-up, will be released at a later date. Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies has said that he's thrilled with the series' performance across iPlayer and Disney Plus, where it is available in territories outside of the UK. He's quoted as saying, "Our last episode that went out at Christmas has been watched by over 7 million now, which is huge," said Davies. The figures as a whole for Doctor Who on BBC iPlayer are ferocious for the whole brand of Doctor Who. So he's clarifying what we heard about a few weeks back. For the whole brand of Doctor Who, there have been over 70 million viewer hours in 2024. And with people being able to go back and watch any episode in the Whoniverse, the episodes are all still growing. That's just extraordinary. 70 million viewer hours. It's one of the top 5 brands on iPlayer. And let's bear in mind that BBC iPlayer is one of the biggest and fastest growing streaming platforms in Great Britain. It's huge. It's huge.
Can I ask something? What is the population of the UK? How much does that amount to?
Too many.
How many millions of people in the UK?
No idea. I've lost count. Any idea, Ian?
UK population's about 66 million officially.
I thought something like that. Yeah.
If you count all the Black Book
on
ones.
Statistics. Okay, so out of that amount of people, 2 million people are watching. Whatever. I'm not trying to steal any numbers away from Bedouia, but that in my mind is a poor audience, isn't it? Out of 66 million people, ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think. If you'd been in 2005 and Doctor Who had launched with its first series and it had got 2 million viewers instead of the near 10 that it got, RTD would probably have jumped out of the building, and the sure as hell wouldn't have been a series 2.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
And yet this is supposed to be in some way good. You get the usual viewing audiences have changed and patterns and things like that. It's all bollocks, as we found out at Christmas with Gavin and Stacey and Wallace and Gromit.
Yes.
If people like it, people will watch it on the day of transmission. And the reason people didn't is because people think it's shite, and they're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And we've been saying that for a little while, isn't it? But do you know, again, I think it's one of these things where it's becoming clearer and clearer, because I am now at that point now, Who viewers, as we are broadcasting live to you on the 16th of April 2025 at 20 minutes past 8 here in the UK in the evening. Doctor Who is off the air. It's going. It's as it say. It's going. Let's see what you're all saying in the chat. Hello, Scott Andrew Brass, how are you? And Tim Kintz is saying, whenever your new series opens with a smaller audience than anything in your previous series got, the people aren't staying. Yeah, but he's so... Oh, it's huge. It's huge because he's absolutely... or they are absolutely blinded by this whole iPlayer thing. And they're comparing the iPlayer to a streaming service.
Which is
I
not...
wouldn't, would you?
It's not. It's not a
No.
streaming service.
If
No.
they're going to make so much about the iPlayer and 70 million hours, they need to provide a breakdown, because I'm sure that the majority is Classic Who that's being watched.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm absolutely convinced about that. And unless they provide a breakdown, I'm not going to buy that 70 million hours thing being relevant to anything at all. It has no relevance whatsoever in this argument.
well, there's a lot of the people in the chat with us tonight who would agree. Peter Harrington say thrilled. Is he ill? Terrified Monk is saying, okay, who's been playing the Christmas special on repeat? Yeah, and they need locked up by now, I'm sure. Mudcrap is saying 7 million now. Now, only 4 million then, but 3 million have trickled in over the last 4 months. These things, when they get, it's all propaganda. Andy Gladhill, Bull, Joy to the World only got 6.38 million after 28 days. That is the final Barb rating. We've also got, what have we got? Cody, W1. In other words, Classic Who is doing great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anthony Parkinson, the age 4 to 15 breakdown for the Robot Revolution, showing what a liar RTD is that this is a success with the demo he claimed to have captured. Well, we know it isn't, because we reported on that report that came back a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? But that said, look, you're not getting the younger audience that they claim. That it's not there. Woodhouse 122 can't watch Zygons or Seeds of Doom nor Unearthly Child and iPlayer, so that's RTDBS. That's 70 million, says Steve Finley, was probably from Genesis Dalek News.
Just
Probably
from when it was
is.
broadcast in 75. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lumping in all the classic views on iPlayer in with the new stuff is showing desperation, says Mark A. Right, nice to see you. And Julianne's with us as well. RTD sounds like he's one negative review away from shaving his head. Not that there's anything wrong with that, April.
Nothing at all. Yeah.
Right, Charlie, on a separate note, is saying, I like the return of Paul's beard.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. It comes and goes, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. What's this one for Third Doctor Ian as well? If I can bring that up on the screen. Bill Larry saying you're correct. Terrified Monk is saying, yes, viewing audiences have changed, but no one is watching this. And Forbidden Man, 2 million viewers is rubbish figures. I think we're all agreed, aren't we?
I think the thing is,
Yeah, go on.
so I think the thing is that the 2 million that are watching, if they're not this demographic that RTD has claimed he's got, then I reckon it's the remainder of the diehard fans that are sticking with it, like they did back in '89. Probably that's all it is. Probably.
Yeah.
But it's not general public, is it? Let's be honest.
No, not at all. Hello to Moon Pawu, who's joined us as well, and the big buff goat, who was the ex-small swole goat. He's saying, hey, they'll never give transparent statistics. They'll always make them look better than it is. It's overnight plus after 7 days plus after month multiplied by Jupiter's altitude relative to Mercury. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Can't keep up with your names, big buff goat. Sounds quite exciting though, that one. What else we got here as well? Yes, Matthew Burrows is saying to us he thinks he's writing series 4 and 5. If he does come back, he will not be involved. Stay with us, because that's a story that's broken in the last few hours. We're going to be talking about that in this show. Great to see you all. However, I like this one from John Roberts. I think more people are watching Chigley and Camberwick Green on Amazon Prime. I know I am. Oh, are they on Amazon Prime?
Oh, fantastic!
Ooh.
I actually on video. They were great. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Oh, I'll be tuning into that then. Thanks for that,
yeah,
John.
superb.
Hello,
Yeah.
Sheldon Knox, who's joining us. The opening viewing figures are normally the highest for a season, which would suggest the figures are going to plummet during season 2. Well, we're going to be looking at all those fabulous ratings, aren't we? Because it is time now, everybody, to start the Doctor Who 2025 Series 2, whatever you want to call it, ratings analysis with the one and only Bedwyr. Here he is. Woo! Hello. Here he is, everybody.
Evening,
It's
gentlemen.
Bedwyr.
Evening.
Hello.
Thank you for this. Another series of ratings analysis with you popping in on headlines for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, disclaimer, I've not watched The Robot Revolution. I've no interest in watching The Robot Revolution. If you've watched it and enjoyed it, great. If you didn't, then yeah, you're probably...
If you didn't, you were bloody lucky. And well, what a good decision. Because I'm still in bloody therapy after it all, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to support a story where the villain is a heterosexual white man who's probably, in reality, more of a threat to himself than anybody else, then you carry on.
Exactly.
And he gets eradicated at the end as well, which is a very positive note. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they laugh about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw that, and that's like Boomtown. That's like Christopher Eccleston taking that egg and smashing his foot into it.
Yes. There's been a lot of comparison.
That was the alternate take in that episode, Bedwyr, I think.
Yeah.
Or it's Mina taking the regenerated baby Pangol out of the generator at the end of Leisure Hive and smashing his head on the floor.
Or drop kicking him around the room, I don't know. Or something.
Yeah, and saying, "Don't worry, he was dead anyway." I mean, it's
Yeah. But it's a good comparison though, isn't it? Because people have been doing that, saying, "Hang on a minute," I've seen it a lot, especially with the egg thing. Joshua, I think's in the chat tonight, was going on about that, and a few other people as well. Thank you for your emails, by the way. I will get back to you. I've just been a bit busy so far. Sander is saying to us here, by the end of the season, only 1 million will be left. Steve Black would like to know, gentlemen, what do you think of Windy Miller as the next Doctor? Yes, please.
Superb. Guess my vote. Great
got a hat.
Hat. Yeah.
He's got a Tom hat.
Exactly,
And Steve Meyer, hello, Stephen Meyer, who's with us. They are just the UK numbers, though. Well, we're a UK channel, and we're only going to look at the UK numbers because, quite frankly, we don't care what's going on in the rest of the world. We're only going to ever look, Stephen, at the UK numbers. If we get any feedback from Disney, which we didn't last time, about how it's doing, because they now own it across the planet, apart from the UK. But I have to tell you, Stephen, whether people outside the UK like it or not, it will be the British public who decide the future of this show, not the fans, not the BBC, not BBC Studios, not Bad Wolf, and not even Disney. If the British public do not watch this show, if they do not support it, like other British shows, it will come off the air. And I think that's where we're going to now.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start then? Oh, go on.
No, I mean, if it had been a success for Disney Plus in the US and abroad, then absolutely they'd be shouting it from the rooftops. But the rating systems that are in place, like the Nielsen ratings and various websites that track streaming usage, Doctor Who is barely registered at all. So that's why we can't really comment on numbers, because it's not really come up. There's no reporting of it, because those numbers are, it would appear, too small to actually make a ripple in that soap pond. And yeah, I just wanted to come in on that Radio Times article. So yeah, as has been pointed out, the over 7 million for Joy to the World is nonsense. We stopped counting after 28 days. It's not a plus 3 months. We can't go on forever. And the iPlayer number is interesting. The guys rightly said that population, let's round it up to 70 million. That means every person in the UK must have spent an hour watching Doctor Who on iPlayer in 2024, which seems a bit of a stretch. More feasibly, let's say there's 5 million people in the UK who are interested in Doctor Who. They would have to watch 14 hours on the iPlayer for it to get to 70 million.
I must admit, I watch a lot of Doctor Who quite often, but not as much as that, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've got these lovely box sets,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
in Blu-ray. You know, why would I watch iPlayer?
Yeah.
And low quality ones of that. But you know, let's hope it is true, because it isn't a reflection on the current system and the current production team. Hopefully it means that the reputational damage to the classic series, and even 2005 to 2017 is still intact. So, and that damage hasn't impacted on Doctor Who as a brand. So that is a positive.
We've got Raymond Williams joining us saying BBC ratings are down across the board. When the top programs are only getting 3.5 million, then why is the whole nation paying the license fee? The public don't like their content. Well, the whole nation isn't really. We've got to face it. A lot of people are legally cancelling their television license now. What the BBC now needs to do is to ask why, because the content is shocking. It's cheap. It's nasty, in my opinion. It's full of woke, far-left ideological nonsense. There's a drag queen on practically everything for some ridiculous reason. I personally think that's just to try and grasp at kids, and try and get them interested.
And we were looking at an example of the Gladiator Series 2. In this episode, and see how, in my opinion, it looks like fewer and fewer people are watching the BBC. And that audience isn't going directly to ITV or anything like us. It's just spreading out.
We've got Thistle Products Podcast joining us. Hello, Thistle Podcast. 2 million is not good. Some YouTuber on X said that 400k would still be good. Good God. And Sander is saying to us, well, the views on Disney Plus aren't doing well either, since Disney already said they won't be paying for any more seasons. I don't think they've actually said that. Certainly nothing has been released or published. We'll be here to tell you about it the moment it does, I can tell you. And thank you for your super chat, Digby. Have you, RTD, has taken to trumpeting all of Doctor Who's views from iPlayer, trying to inflate the popularity of the current abomination? Well,
yeah, he is. Yeah,
you would.
That is exactly what he's doing. Yeah,
trying to take credit for it.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so Bedouin is here, as you can see, everybody. So let's get into this then. He has spent some time putting this all together for us. And we'll go to your first graphic then, Bedouin, and you can tell us all about the story for this one, because this is the Ncuti Gatwa era.
Yeah, in its entirety. So we're going to start with some
Sadly,
context.
not quite Bedouin, not quite. We're another 7 episodes to go.
So far. So, for those who are new to the channel, who didn't see the stuff we talked about last year for Series 14, these are the numbers for overnight, +7, and then +28 days. So in blue is overnight, the green is +7, and then purple is the +28. So we proved last year that, with the exception of Boom, the majority of that final +28 day figure for each episode came from the overnight figure. So all the dialogue about, the overnights don't matter anymore, we categorically proved, with the exception of Boom, that the majority, over 50% of that final +28 day number, was made up from the overnight figure. There obviously were some new things to contend with when it came to the pre-transmission numbers. That Radio Times article is correct in saying that the overnight number doesn't reflect pre-transmission views. And whilst they steadily increased throughout the series, it never got above 300,000 viewers. So it's not a massive dent, and that is something we'll have to look out for in future. So overall, though, 8 of the 9 lowest episodes for overnight audience were the 8 episodes from this series. The only other episode to challenge that was Legend of the Sea Devils.
Can I ask what you think went wrong then? So, I don't know. What happened? Why did it go like that? What happened? Why is it so bad?
I mean, it's a good, so you can see the 2 spikes from Christmas specials, which is fairly low in terms of Christmas specials. Joy to the World was the lowest rated Christmas special since 2005. And I don't think those episodes, when you do have a captive audience on Christmas Day, did enough to capture the audience.
Yeah. And
this is what intrigues me about Russell coming out and saying, over 7 million people have watched Joy to the World now. It's like, hang on, you're making your drop off to the robot revolution even more drastic.
Yeah.
It's
By
also
inflating
the fact that he's not saying that it'll be 7 million of the same people. It'll be these. I mean, December to now for some of these fans, and let's face it, we know what it's like, have been without a fix. And I bet you, had they put this stuff on in January, Joy to the World wouldn't be there yet, because they would have gone straight from Joy to the World to the Robot Revolution.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Yep.
potentially that might have seen the numbers, stay closer to that 4 or 5 million, maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But I
because
don't
they've had this time, they go back and watch it over and over and over and over, and then they go and buy the Blu-ray or the DVD and they watch that over and over and over. This is why I've always said I do not trust these iPlayer figures, and that's the other reason here on Who's Views we will not be looking at the iPlayer figures, because prove to me it's the great British public watching it and not some insane fans. And we've all seen them on X and on social media. I've watched such and such 20 times now.
Yeah, and these are, for those who don't know, we're taking these numbers from the BARB. I use a website called Broadcast Now. These are reported quite widely. When it comes to iPlayer figures, they are built into the +7 and the +28 days, but they're never released and broken down properly, except within the BBC itself. So, when you have that 7 million figure, if that is inflated by iPlayer views, it doesn't mean that 7 million unique iPlayer views potentially,
No,
because that system of counting has not been explained properly to the public.
exactly. Down, down, deeper and down, says Julianne. How low can you go is another one that we might need to play if we could ever do that. And Stephen Braddock is with us saying, I watched a YouTuber who already watched the Robot Revolution 16 times on iPlayer. Yeah. I think I might have seen that. Yeah.
Was that
So
Russell T
does that mean
Davis
that-
himself? Was it?
But
Mm.
are they counting that as 16 views? This is the
Yeah.
system we're trying to work with. But
Yeah.
another way of kind of looking at this, why are there the sudden drop-offs? I think a way of looking at viewing figures is that it's often a reflection of the previous episode.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a referendum, if you were to use that popular word, on the previous episode. So it's no coincidence if you put the graphic back up, JT.
I just want to read this one from Domgo. Sorry, you're missing the 8 million drag queens who watched at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning iPlayer bid we hear. I can tell you from experience, drag queens don't know what the morning is.
Well,
Tell you.
yeah, we don't know what impact, So yeah, just to reiterate my point. So the lowest rated overnight was The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which followed
Look at that.
Rogue.
Yeah.
So if we think of it as a commentary on the previous episode, yeah. Whereas you had 73 yards, Boom was supposedly quite good. Stephen Moffat won, and 73 yards got the highest ratings for the series because it followed a supposedly good episode. So
The fact is, it's got a bad reputation. It's got a bad person writing it. It's got a bad lead character. There is no essence of Doctor Who in it. As I said on the review on Sunday, and not we could tune into this and say, "Who's the Doctor?
Yeah.
Where's
yeah.
the Doctor?
yeah.
What's going on?" Because you've got this guy running around who looks like he's just come from some BBC Three TQ cult drama, and I say drama loosely. Shocking.
yeah, you've
That's what's wrong.
had 2 Christmas specials that haven't been enough to bring viewers back to watch the rest of the series.
It's
Exactly.
interesting you say about captive audience on Christmas, because in 2020, 21, and in 22 as well, the stuff that was shown for Jodie, as we're at that point in 2020 in a pandemic, they had a captive audience then, but they still weren't watching it,
Well,
and that wasn't Christmas, So
Yeah,
well.
I
It's
mean,
good to see you all in the chat. Thank you
get
for
to
joining us.
Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, it's been going down since the Whittaker era.
Yeah.
Every episode, and this has just proved it as well. Just Jordan, wash your mouth out with the soap, you naughty little gal. David Harding is with us saying, I'm really interested to see what the other figures will be. I'd love to see Disney's numbers too, but they're much harder to get a hold of, or so I'm told. Well, I can confirm that because I spent most of last year trying to get hold of them, and
I've seen an optimistic YouTuber saying that we're waiting for the Disney ratings before they make a decision on season 3. Apparently, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah.
Kev Gresham is saying, Bedouin, is the figures the ones who are the ones who watched it as a whole or part? Because I turned it off halfway through.
Yeah, so if you work within the industry, particularly if you work in the BBC, you will have access to the data that breaks it down into like 15 or 20-minute chunks, and you can see that sort of drop. I don't have access to that data, unfortunately. It would be fascinating to know how many people watched the first bit of Doctor Who, and then how many were still left by the end. When it finally finished. So yeah, I don't have that data. It would be fascinating to see it though.
Let's move on to your next one. Your next slide, please, Bedouin. It's this one.
So the Robot Revolution officially got 2 million on the overnights, and that puts it as the lowest rated Doctor Who episode. So it's had the smallest audience ever for people sitting down watching it on the night as it's transmitted on BBC One. And again, my earlier point of that bottom now 10 all features, bar one exception, Ncuti Gatwa era episodes.
Amazing.
I think what's positive is that we have 7 more episodes to go of this series, which should see Battlefield completely pushed out the bottom 20.
Hopefully, yes, that'd be good. Yeah. Just like a Battlefield, yes.
Yeah.
So another graph that we've used before is where we take the +7s as a better reflection of a modern number, and compare that to the overnights of the classic series. So if we can get a +7 that's below 3.1 in this series, which certainly seems doable, then even when we're comparing +7s to the classic series overnights, Battlefield will no longer be the bottom.
And on this overnight share that he's done for us here, wow, it's still going down, everybody. Look, Joy to the World was 32, Robot Revolution 17.4. Season opener, I mean, gosh.
So just to explain this, so this is of the available audience. So all the television sets that are turned on at that time in the UK, only 17.4% turned into BBC One to watch Doctor Who. And you can see how that's a significant drop off from Joy to the World. But, Christmas specials are slightly different.
Yes.
But it's still, down. I mean, the overnight audience share for all of Series 14 was 21.2%. So the Robot Revolution is starting below that average for last year.
Wow.
That's
And
embarrassing.
if you go on to the next graphic, JT, where we take out the Christmas specials, you can kind of see that, apart from, the slight anomaly of 73 yards and Dot and Bubble, the overall trend is downwards. Overall, Empire Death as well, series finale, a bit more of a bump for that, which is understandable. But it also illustrates that the general trend, you start a series strong, and then overall, it the audience dissipates. And when we're starting at 2 million and 17.4% audience share, it's not going to suddenly jump back up.
No,
in my opinion.
No,
because that would buck every trend we've ever seen for every modern series of Doctor Who. It always starts with a high, and it might come back up again for series finales and stuff like that. But generally, as the series progresses, you have a downward trend, and we're starting from a low point.
We've been saying for a while now, and I've still been saying for a while. The audience just isn't there. The audience is just not there. Robert Payne was saying, I said I won't watch anymore, but I'm tempted to hate watch with a notepad so I can catalog the awfulness. Only tempted, though. I would say don't bother.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Stephen Braddock with his lovely mandrel there is that is a very steep decline from Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
know,
it's quite
it's
dramatic.
quite sad they're breaking lots of records, but all for the wrong reasons.
all for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And Mark A. Wright is saying sub 20% audience is catastrophic. Even if TV viewing is down across the board, this percentage is truly damning. If this was any other show, it would have been off after 6 episodes with this, you know, or it would have been transferred to BBC 2 or 3. But it is a BBC One flagship show. It should be a BBC One flagship show, quite frankly. It was born for the BBC on BBC One. I think this is a travesty. I think this is embarrassing, and it's so sad to see this in the state that it's in. It really is.
It's definitely a BBC flag shit show. I can guarantee that. I don't know about ship show, but I mean those stats that you were showing last there. The more damning and embarrassing thing is the one peak in there, which was 73 yards, is an episode that hardly features the lead actor.
Yeah,
you know, I mean that is humiliating. I mean, justifiably so. But it's humiliating. He is not popular. He is not the Doctor. He is not accepted as the Doctor. And yet, you know, you have all this handful of deniers, don't you? But you can't argue with the figures.
No, you can't.
I hope we actually look at this properly if they reassess it to come back as another series and think about why it's getting these poor viewing figures.
They have
what
to.
Is the reason it's so bad? Why is it bad? Well, look at the episodes, you know.
Yeah, they have to. They absolutely have to put this on some sort of production hiatus for at least 2 or 3 years and bring the adults back in the room and get it sorted, because it's not rocket science; it's science fiction. Pardon the pun. We've got here Big Buff Goat, ex Small Swole Goat. I'm still watching current TV. Who just to cringe out with friends, but I'm shocked how bad RTD got with pacing and dialogues. What's happened? No good editor this time. Well,
No
we know
editor
what's
at all.
happened. No one can
editor.
stop him. No one can stop it. Shard Knox is saying, "Don't hate watch it. It adds to the viewing figures." No, I don't. At this point, I don't think it's going to make any difference, to be quite honest. Raymond is with us saying RTD should be embarrassed and apologizing to Bad Wolf and Disney. Has he no shame? Nope.
I agree with that. Definitely, yeah.
No, can't say anything. It would no. Terrified Monk. Would we go this deep into the ratings if this was good? I don't think so. I think we would be talking about how the good and bad of the. That's what we should be doing as fans, though. Terrified Monk, isn't it? But as Doctor Who fans, as we said on our hiatus show, hiatus 1985. As fans of the show, the ratings are important to us because it was the ratings that took it off back in 85 and then in 1989. And 85, they were good ratings for the television at the time. They were good, solid, up there ratings. And then it went down and down and down. So as Doctor Who fans, for some reason, well, I think it's because of that. It's in our DNA and it's been transferred into the new fans that have come across as well. The ratings are important.
Yeah, and I would love to come on here and, you know, show that, you know, Shoot You Get was found an audience, it's growing, all that sort of stuff. But I think it's a wider malaise against the BBC generally. You know, people cancelling license fee and all that sort of stuff. And also we're dealing with a program that's been around for 20 years. You know, this modern version of the show.
Tired.
And there's going to be that fatigue, not just in terms of production, but in terms of an audience. You know, they feel like they've seen most of it. So it's the general audience that's you kind of walked away. And that's where the big numbers are if you can attract your wider population.
But also it's driven away the fans that help to promote the show, the fans that watch the show, you know, the fans that will go back and watch it 3 or 4 times. Because I guarantee you, as we were saying there, if this had been a fantastic version of Doctor Who, we'd all be going to the iPlayer watching it over and over again. You know, and watching it just to see those little bits and extra bits. Stephen Jeannie Frith, it's good to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I used to want Romana and the Rani and Drax and the Meddling Monk back. Now I fear what RTD and the BBC would do to them. Yeah, you don't want them back. You don't want them back now at all. Lots of you in the chat. Thank you. David Harding is saying people argue about the figures all the time. We do, and it's never going to change. But here on Who's Views with Bedweir's ratings review, you're going to get the facts. Joe Parker, Doctor Who has been killed off by DEI nonsense. Until that happens, it's finished. I know what you mean there. Yeah, definitely.
Whatever the factors are for low ratings, we all have to admit, and all Doctor Who fans admit, they're very, very poor. Whichever analysis you choose, whatever points you raise, it's just really bad for you figures, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
And on this channel, we're really trying to, fight against the tide of misinformation, really, because
Yeah.
as you guys have mentioned, you've seen plenty of commentators, whether they're social media commentary or not, saying that these numbers are fine, these are good, these are You've had quotes from Russell T Davies saying that the numbers are great and all this sort of stuff, and this is trying to present the reality of what these numbers are showing. People can interpret them how they want, that's fine, but for us and on this channel, we're going to just talk about what those numbers show and put it into context, and that context is largely missing from a lot of the debate.
We're going to go right back to the slides in a minute, just to address a couple of things in the chat. Thank you for joining us for Whose Views Headlines today, Wednesday, the 16th of April. Andy Gledhill is saying, I am willing to bet that a lot of the stuff in it has directly been suggested by Disney themselves. With respect, Andy, I'm going to disagree. Have you seen Russell T Davies over the last 7 or 8 years? Have you heard his speeches? No. He's pushed this. He's put all this agenda. This is his mission. He is part of the TQ cult, and that's his mission. Did you see the Star Beast? That was deliberately him. They go along with it because it's the convenient and trendy thing for the show business, alleged entertainment industry, who is extremely far left, to do. How long that's going to catch on and continue now is anybody's guess. I think they will absolutely try to triple, quadruple down against all these things because the world isn't going their way. But no, this is Russell. I can't see Disney wanting to do that at all. This is Russell. And Marie UK, I'd rather watch Meghan Markle's With Love than see Gatwick kick his leg up one more time. Doctor Who isn't even funny or bad. Marie UK, don't go to extremes, please. Why you want to see that idiot woman? Don't please have a bit of common sense. And Matthew Burrows is saying they need to go back to a Hinchcliffe vibe. It's so glossy and needs mud thrown at it. Yeah. The problem is there's nobody like Philip Hinchcliffe that could do it now.
No.
I bet RTD will quadruple down at this point. Producer Who movie, says the Clive Calculator. There's no way Doctor Who's going to get a movie. There's no one to go and see it. It's not big.
No one would rest the money on that one, really. Let's be honest.
Just going to say that I don't think anybody would be stupid enough or willing to put up any money for anything that buffoon writes related to Doctor Who. Not a chance. Not a chance.
No,
Well,
there's no
none
way.
of the major studios can get people into the cinemas, so Doctor Who isn't going to solve that.
No, not at all. It's not going to get there. And hello and welcome to Whose Views to DC Game. Good to see you. What was it Christopher Eccleston said? A sci-fi convention? Last year, absolutely. And we know it, don't we?
Get him on phone again.
And he was right.
Yeah. Right, where were we up to? What slide were we up to, Bedweer? We've done the overnight share, haven't we? This one, what's this?
So, again, to provide context, we're now going to look at another series on the BBC, Gladiators, which has just finished. Doctor Who, The Robot Revolution followed the Gladiators final. And this is just really to compare how, this is a show that has been a success. It's had a book published. It's going on an arena tour later this year. There's a lot of buzz around it. People are generally happy. And one of the best statistics about Gladiators, actually, I've seen it reported this week, that their viewership is predominantly kids between 4 and 15. So it's about, 58.5% is made up by a really young audience. The sort of audience that Doctor Who should maybe be targeting. But
yeah, definitely.
Instead, they're watching Gladiators. But this graph shows, series 1 when it started, and you can see that trickle down of audience throughout series 1. And that's kind of continued into series 2. Now, series 2 did get mucked about a bit. They had a couple of occasions where FA Cup football caused them to have a week off. So it's not been a consistent spot on the schedule on BBC One. And also that spike on the 15th of March actually followed a Wales-England rugby match in the Six Nations. So that's probably slightly artificially inflated. But you can see how, relatively speaking, though, it's not a massive drop-off for Series 2. There's an element of consistency. And once it came back for semi-finals and the finals, it actually started to pick back up a bit. So, but this is an example of not as many people watching the BBC. Even a BBC show, that general narrative has done really well.
What got me about this, from what you were telling me about it, is huge success for the BBC Series 1. Huge success. It was everywhere. Everybody knew Gladiators were back. It was getting really good viewing figures. It was fantastic. And then this year, they didn't bother to promote it properly. They didn't care about it. They messed it around. Now, Gladiators is a BBC Studios production. It has been confirmed for its third series. As you say, it's going on tour again this year. Went on tour last year. The kids love it. Families love it. It's a big success. But they messed it around so much this year. Message to BBC Studios: put your foot down with the BBC One schedulers and tell them what you want to do. That is a massive show for you. Don't be letting these idiots at BBC One move it around and not promote it properly. Get it done properly. You've piled thousands into it. Come on. Treat it like a business and get it done, for heaven's sake. I'd be going knocking on the door saying, excuse me, we want it at this time every bloody week, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw on social media, they did an event at the Blue Water Shopping Centre where some of the Gladiators were there, and they literally had to close the queue because there was that many people who wanted to see them. And as I said, there's an arena tour planned where they're going across the country in November and December this year. You know, that's the sign of a strong brand and clearly a demand from people that watch the show. Okay. The numbers, the raw numbers are down on last year, so
that's because we shifted it around and messed it about.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. But the overnight average is down by about 1.25 million. The overnight share is down about 5%. But it's still, this is still deemed as a success story. But as statistically, there are fewer people watching it than they did last year.
Yeah,
they'll do better than Doctor Who, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Were they not? Were they not really poor with their post-series 1 merchandise as well? They didn't follow it, did they?
No, they were very late.
Yeah,
very late. Yeah,
there hasn't been any merchandise.
Isn't going to help either, is it?
No, they could have. Yeah, be ready to roll with that. Unfortunately, and they've had a book release that I've seen, but it's not like I've seen action figures on shelves in B&M or anywhere else. So they have missed an opportunity to a certain extent.
Okay, so we've got that one there. We're now going into this. Oh gosh, I've just moved everything around. Where are we going to now? It was. Oh, I've lost them all, Bedweer. What was this one? No, that's not it, is it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah. So this is the overnight share for Gladiators. So we mentioned that it was down slightly. You can see how it's a bit more. There's more fluctuations in Series 1 on sort of left-hand side.
Oh, have we lost him? Is that me?
Oh, no, I'm still here.
But where are you there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Right. Okay. Yeah, you went funny and you got stuck for a second there. Go through that again.
All right. Okay. So you can see Series 1 sort of on the left-hand side of the screen as you look at it, a bit more fluctuations. But I think what's really interesting is if you look at Series 2, that's quite a lot of consistency around the 25% mark. Okay, there's ups and downs or whatever, but it's, apart from that, low drop at 20.5 and a high point of 28.8, they're all kind of around the 25% mark. So about a quarter of the audience fairly consistently throughout the series is watching Gladiators. So of all the people watching television, about a quarter of them are watching Gladiators every Saturday night, which is pretty good. And that level of consistency is probably the sort of thing that, if you're a TV executive, you're quite grateful for, even if the relative numbers are lower than they were last year.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
It just suggests that it's found an audience consistently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that actually has really. And we've got Kev here with something very, very, very true. I think here, all BBC shows are doing this because people have stopped paying the license fee, so it will affect all the shows. So the BBC needs to go back, make good entertainment to win people back to pay the fee. That again is common sense. Unfortunately, I reckon the BBC is now full of ideological activists that they don't know what common sense is because they don't know what's up and what's down. The BBC, when you look at the BBC, how it was when we were growing up, guys, the BBC was the channel to go to. wasn't it? And it was full of entertainment and fun, news, regional news, drama, all sorts of things. It's lackluster now, in my opinion. That's why I haven't paid a license for God knows how many years, and why I don't have live television on in my house, because it just doesn't interest me at all. It's all alleged celebrity this and that.
You felt
And you have to
could
Google the
trust
celebrities as well to work out who they are. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You used to feel you could trust it, though, certainly in the 70s, 80s, that kind of thing. Whether they were lying to you or not, you felt you could trust them. Now, I don't trust a damn word they say. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't at all.
Stephen Braddock has sent to us, Al Dewar from Character Options has said there will be no more action figures for Shooty's era, but there will be more classic sets. It says it all.
yay!
Well,
complaint.
they're the things that sell.
Yeah.
Marie UK, the adverts on BBC iPlayer are pushing the TV license. That must be desperate. Oh, are they? Oh, really? That's interesting. Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of like talking to the converted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rose Kirby, hi Rose, how are you? Hey, does anyone think that the 7-day audience figures will be down and up? They'll be up slightly because, as we've seen there, a lot of the fan base for this version of Doctor Who, oh, by the way, it's not Doctor Who, will go back and watch it over and over again. So what are we on? We're on Wednesday. They would have watched it about 20, 30 times each by now because they haven't got a life or a job. Hint, go and get one. So it will be up slightly, but I can't prove to me again, as I always say, Marie, that it's the British public catching up. It's not. They don't care. They don't care. Hello, Simon Mills. How are you? Nice to see you. The 15th Doctor is the worst and most unpopular Doctor in the show's history. We got facts to back it up now. We do, but it started with his predecessor, because it's been going downhill from the second episode of her time, bar one or maybe two in her era, and it's been going down ever since. We've had 2 spectacular miscasts on this beloved show, and I'm not just talking about the lead actors. We've also had 2 spectacular miscasts when it comes from the people who produced the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. They kept it in the family, didn't they? They kept it in the clique, and they shouldn't have done. Rory and Cheryl and friends too are saying TV has died, the studio shows have died. LWT studios have now been demolished. I know, isn't that sad? I looked at the pictures of them doing that and I thought, what are they going to put in their place? Apparently it's flats.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
It's not student accommodation. That's the normal thing, isn't it? I think. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It might be though, Paul, with it being flats. Who knows? But
Possibly,
my heart broke. My heart broke when you see those things. I used to pass LWT all the time. John Roberts, the popularity of the retro channel shows that people like great content which is not produced by the current BBC and other channels. You're absolutely right, John. I totally agree with you there. The retro channels are huge. They are developing. There's more of them coming along now. And you get shows from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. It's great catch-up telly. It really is fantastic. So they are hugely popular. And it shows you, doesn't it? Kev Gresham is saying, JT, back in the day, it was put up against Corrie. Put this rubbish against the soap now, and it would struggle to get 500,000.
They wouldn't dare.
That was Corrie at the height of its powers, though, at 18 million. I don't know what Corrie gets now. But I mean, in the day when they put Doctor Who up against that, it was getting like 5.5 million or whatever. They then put EastEnders up against Corrie at that time. No. They knew EastEnders would have been absolutely wiped out, but they did it with Doctor Who, and it held its own.
Yeah, so it was always strategic planning, wasn't it? EastEnders would have to go be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, remember, because Corrie was on back in our day, Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Hello, Martin Brown. Martin Brown said, "Hi, gang. You've caught me out being on a Wednesday. We're going to be here on Wednesdays for a little while, but make sure you are ringing that bell, because you never know when we will broadcast headlines." But yeah, there we go.
Are they planning to reduce how many episodes of soaps are going out now? There was a talk
yes,
about that.
They've gone back to 2 or 3 now
because they're finding there's not the viewership for it. Yeah.
So just to pick up on that point, the most recent +7 figures for, I think it's, the end of March, beginning of April, Corrie was getting about 4 million, 4.5 million. So the soaps now, even if you put Doctor Who up against it, they're not drawing in massive numbers like they used to. So this idea that linear television, yes, has probably had its time, and people are not necessarily going to other channels, but they're going to other platforms to find their entertainment. And Doctor Who has to adapt to that.
The problem is, I think it can. If it was Doctor Who, if it was a proper story about the Doctor, a Time Lord from Gallifrey in his TARDIS with his companions, zooming around time and space and having adventures with bug-eyed monsters every week, I reckon it would be a massive hit. I do think it can't go on at 45 minutes or an hour or wherever it is these days. I think that needs to be looked at. And but it's a gift from the 60s. And I still believe it actually work today. There's an audience. Children like being frightened. Children like being scared. But all these bloody adults around them are so namby-pamby. Oh, we can't make them anxious. Too late. You already have, you idiots. PTA, nice to see you. Thank you for your super chat. Can we have ratings for classic series plus 60 years? Billions.
I would love to see that. I really would, yeah.
Including video watches.
No pressure, Bedweir, on that one.
That's a lot of hard. Oh, the problem is we couldn't get access to the iPlayer figures.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't be that specific. I mean, you could make a case for if you could work out, VHS sales, DVD sales, any repeats on, BBC Two, UK Gold. If you put all those numbers together, plus the iPlayer, it would be interesting. And
the Blu-ray sets as well on top of that as well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. God, how many times have I bought Spirit from Space? That's a few.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
It would be, it'd be a big number.
Martin Brown is saying to us, 2 million views is still good for modern day terrestrial television. I don't think it is, Martin. The reason for that is, as we've always said on the show, if the public are interested in something, they will watch it. And they're not interested, so they're not watching it. And we've had the big successes, Wallace and Gromit, as we've said before, the Gavin and Stacey thing. We had Mr. Brown versus the Post Office last year. We have had some stuff this year. Unforgotten is still a massive big hit. Vera has done very reasonably well. A lot of the ITV stuff has done well because people have sat down and watched it on the night.
I don't know if you saw it. There was ratings for Adolescence on Netflix for 2 million they were getting, which is incredible considering they're just a streaming service.
That's now been reported. Longer term numbers are now. If you collate all the episodes, etc., it's about is that like 13 million.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah. We've had several weeks of it being part of the national conversation, etc.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. JT's right. If there is, something that is can't miss, and generally nowadays it is kind of live sport because you want to watch it live. Those are the things that get an audience. But drama can do it, as you mentioned, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. That was big numbers. I think what's interesting, given Doctor Who's number, because we're talking about that specifically, is that 2.9 million people were watching Gladiators. And 900,000 viewers turned off before for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So had that audience stayed with it, it would have added another 45% on top of Doctor Who's numbers. So that's more of an issue. Yes, it came. It was the second most watched thing on the BBC and was fourth most watched for the day. I think actually, again, wider conversations beyond just Doctor Who's numbers. Alongside, what's going on with linear TV, how do you fix it? Is actually Saturday nights are not really for watching TV again.
The whole problem with that Adolescence nonsense, by the way, it's a drama.
Yeah,
BBC Breakfast presenters.
It's not a documentary.
You idiots. But they should be fired, those two, on that.
That was awful. I saw that interview. That was awful. It really was. Yeah.
Damn them. Can you imagine waking up with them in the morning? Oh, please do me a favor. Thank God I don't have to. But the problem with that is it's had so much press, so much publicity. It's been spoken about in government. Why? I have no idea. And people are bound to go and watch it as a curiosity. It doesn't mean that they're watching the whole thing, but they're bound to go and do that. I just find that Doctor Who hasn't had that level of press or discussion. And who wants that level of press and discussion for this version of the Doctor? Because it's just absolutely embarrassing. And the British public have tagged onto that and gone, what's this? They can't even tell who the Doctor is, as I said earlier.
I would love
I
to
think-
be a fly on the wall and the Housleys have been watching Gladiators and Doctor Who's about to come on. They're quick, turn it off. Doctor Who's coming on. Turn it over. You know, that kind of conversation.
Well, they turned it over for Britain's Got Talent, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
This week as well, just to let you know, who viewers, in case you don't know, episode 2 is Lux. It's being shown on BBC One at 7:15. However, episode 3, The Well, these titles are so original, it's going to be broadcast at 7:20. 7:20. So maybe they might get a higher viewing figure for that time. We will see, won't we? We will see on the overnights with us on Who's Views Reviews on Sunday, live at 8 o'clock here on the channel. Let's go back to Bedweir's slides. Have we had this one?
Yeah, so
We
that was
have.
our Gladiators overnight
Let's go
share.
into this one then.
Now, this is us now looking at season openers. So throughout, 2005 onwards, we've had quite a few of these to assess, and this is the overnight share reflective of the audiences for the various series openers. So the peak was obviously Rose, heavily promoted. We've just celebrated 20 years of Rose on the channel.
Mhm.
There's a lot of publicity about that, and it did a big number. But after that, there was a good level of consistency that we can see until Matt Smith's kind of last series, where there was a bit of a drop off. Again, new Doctor, Peter Capaldi for Deep Breath, increase in the audience, and the biggest spike was Jodie Whittaker. So her debut story saw a big audience, a big interest from the general public, whether it was curiosity, what were they going to do with it, but nobody stayed. So there's a big drop off, but they had a captive audience because people were interested to see what a female Doctor would be like. It turned out
You messed it up.
So if that episode, if that Doctor, if that characterization, whatever you want to call it, if that had been really strong and have encouraged that audience to say, do you know what, I quite like that, I'm going to watch next week as well, then maybe we wouldn't be in a situation where we are now, and we're now at the lowest ebb that the show's ever been in terms of numbers for viewers.
It makes me laugh though, doesn't it? Because remember back when that happened as well, on the overnights, on that particular, what's it called? Sorry, the Woman Who Fell to Earth. So the overnights on that particular episode, remember, a lot of the alleged fandom were going on about, well, look how brilliant it is, and look at all you lot saying it was going to be fail, and it's going to be wonderful, and the overnights mattered to them then. It's strange how over the last few years they've changed their mind, and the overnights don't matter anymore, does it? No,
it just shows you though the extreme you have between the overnight for Woman Who Fell to Earth and the following overnight you have the year later for Spyfall. You go from almost
it's
the
halved,
highest,
isn't it? Just about,
you go from almost the highest, bar Rose, to almost the lowest in one season. It just shows you how badly received she was.
You can also say that series they did, which you guys are telling me are called Flux, which I'm assuming it says they're Flux, the Halloween Apocalypse. That's a captured audience because nobody was allowed out.
Yeah.
They didn't even watch then.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to put the next graphic up, which is the actual numbers for series openers.
I would, but I've messed it all up. What slide was it? I wonder which one I had. I'm going to have to go through them all, Bedweir, because I've
a line graph of.
Can't see it. I can't see it. That's not it, is it? No, that's the overnight share. No, that was the Gatwa era. There.
That's the one. There we go. So so this is the graph that gives us, the actual numbers for overnight plus sevens, and then after the Magician's Apprentice
plus
onwards,
sevens plus 28. Jeez.
Yeah.
Desperate.
But what's really interesting here is that you can see, the first couple of series, the gap between our overnight and plus sevens is quite small. And see how that gap then widens as more and more people are using iPlayer and other, digital set-top boxes to watch over those 7 days. And can you see now as we get towards the end and we've got, Space Babies, how that gap has kind of narrowed a bit more.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's not just, reflective of, people, who were catching up when it, Doctor Who was increasing in popularity. And we had Matt Smith's debut episode, the 11th hour. It's quite a wide gap between Overnight and Plus 7. So a really good increase. But now we're down to, as you say, Flux and Space Babies. That gap has narrowed, and we're not getting that additional desire from people that missed the show on transmission to actually go back and find it on the iPlayer and watch it again. Which I think is really interesting. And you would think that gap would continue to widen as more and more people get used to using the iPlayer. And as I say, technology's improved where you can just access the iPlayer through your TV. It's not like you have to sit on your laptop anymore, all that sort of stuff.
Get on your phone and everything now, can't you?
Exactly. So you'd think that gap would widen, but as it's more and more common. But no, that interest beyond an initial transmission, if I can get my words out, if that's reducing, then the show's in more trouble than just what the numbers say.
Well, as you're saying, it's so easy to download it and watch it on various devices. So it's made easy to watch. If you want to see it, you'd watch it like that, wouldn't you? To be honest.
Yeah. But as that report was saying that we reported on the other week, it was saying they haven't connected with the audience. That RTD and his cronies are insistent they have the kids, the young people, are not watching. And it's because they look at it, and a lot of them are sensible. They'll see through this nonsense. Look at, oh, that's rubbish. It's not science fiction. Let's face it. The Doctor Who we watched last year, the Doctor Who we watched on Saturday night, it's not science fiction. I don't know what it is. Still, I'm still unsure what I actually saw, but it's not Doctor Who in any way, shape, or form. You can't compare it to anything from the original run on iPlayer, can you? That's the one that the kids should be waiting.
And I bet they are. Yeah.
Even though I hate the current show, I'm still sad at the poor ratings, says Woodhouse 122. It's embarrassing, isn't it, Woodhouse?
Yeah.
It is. It's sad. Go on, Ian.
I think what you said, Paul, is it's easy to watch. I think it's accessible in that it's easy to access it on various.
That's what
devices.
I meant. Yeah.
It's
not
painful
easy to watch. I'm sorry about that.
And that's why people aren't doing it, because it's just not. It's not good entertainment. It's not what people want to watch. And
you want escapism on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch Doctor Who, you want to see the Doctor running around battling the Daleks or the Cybermen or something like that. You want that. You don't want all this nonsense where the people producing the show are assuming you're going to get offended by everything. So they've gone for this twee nonsense with robots and drag queen gods and all this nonsense. You don't want that. You want a full-bodied drama, which is escapism from the real world. You don't want the real world shoved in your sci-fi. And unfortunately, Doctor Who's gone down that route ever since Rose. I'm going to put it out there. The soap opera element has gone way too far. We've even got now a companion that is, retreading Ian and Barbara and Tegan with the storyline, Yeah. Pete Harrington is saying, so it's a sod this and find some other entertainment. They lost a certain core. And Duncan the Funky Evans said, it still doesn't explain this massive expectation about iPlayer viewing figures. Sometimes I think, Duncan, that the BBC are kidding themselves about the iPlayer. I mean, we saw at the start of the show there where we were looking at what RTD was saying, that the iPlayer was the biggest thing in Britain. It's the biggest streaming platform. That's what they want it to be, but they haven't done that. It's not a streaming platform. It could be if they did it properly. I've said it many times. It's a very easy thing to do in a business plan, but it's not. It's just a service as part of the BBC license.
I think currently at the moment, if it did become a streaming service, no one would subscribe to it.
That's what I think they're frightened of.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't make it a subscription streaming service and keep the license fee as well, could they? It would have to be one or the other. And then if it was the subscription, then they are literally going to only get in from the people that they're popular with. And then that's where it would really show, because they wouldn't get much money in at all. Yeah. I don't know how much they get each year. Is it 4 billion or something like that?
Oh, it's around about that. Yeah, it's around about that.
It'd be a fraction of that if people that watched it actually paid for it. that wanted to watch it paid for it, it'd be a fraction of that.
They've got too many people in there that don't know what entertainment is, and then they're going back and looking at things. Like we reported that Cracker Jack's on its way back.
Is
Why?
it?
Where's your new stuff? Where's your new programs? Where's your new ideas? You know, we always thought that new people coming in would take over from the people that have been there for a while with brand new, fresh ideas. It's not happened, is it? They just go back and say, "Oh, that was a big hit. Let's freshen it up and try it again." They've done it with Doctor Who, Gladiators. You know, two off the top of my head because I don't follow.
I wonder
the
if they'll
BBC.
bring back Double or Drop. Remember that when you drop something, you got a cabbage. Remember that?
It's
And
a
I bet,
certainty.
I bet the cabbage will be removed. That'll be too offensive, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yes, it will be. Yeah, you won't be able to give that out.
Problematic cabbage.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a cabbage because you dropped something, you failed. You know, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
They will bring that
Yeah.
back, but you're right. The
Yeah.
cabbage will be removed, and people, even younger people, are discovering old classic television series and films and finding it so much better than today. Says Stephen Braddock. That is true. I've heard that myself. And Post Bunny is with us saying, "Wait, I thought all of these shows so far were amazing and respectful of the actors and the other people on the set for once."
Mm.
I doubt it. I doubt it. There'll be stories. Cody W1 is though saying they deserve these ratings.
You're right. Yeah, Cody, you're right. Yeah.
Mudcrab is saying Belinda is an utterly horrible character. Yeah, we were discussing that on Sunday's review show. These two don't really like her. I'm on the fence. So I'm going to
Yeah.
give her another episode to see what happens.
My wife liked her apparently. The divorce proceedings are ongoing. Just we're speaking to lawyers, you know.
And Robert Payne with us saying, we want a doctor who gives the impression of being a real character, not a panto-style person with a fake and shallow facade. And I certainly don't want a doctor that's going to do a high kick and say, "Yes, Queen," or "Honey."
After someone's dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, have you seen the clip from Lux that's going around on social media right now? If you haven't, make sure you do, because we're going to be talking about it on Friday's headlines here on the channel at 8 o'clock. I threw up. And it also reminded me of that episode last year, The Devil's Board. It's more or less the same element. So
Oh,
watch
no.
it and we'll talk about it.
Maestro's not back, is he? Oh,
No,
please,
it's the same. It's the same thing. They run off to get an outfit. It's
Oh,
it's done the
Yeah, I have
same
seen
way.
that clip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's done
Yeah.
the same way. So if you haven't seen it yet, Who viewers, go and look at it. Come back on to headlines Friday at 8 o'clock here on the channel, because we're going to be looking at it. We're going to be talking about it. What the iPlayer is good for was someone who says a show is good. So I look it up and watch it. Example, when I was told about Strike, says Kev Gresham. Strike is another good one, actually. And I love Strike because I love Robert Galbraith, also known as J.K. Rowling. Her books are amazing, absolutely amazing. And the next one's due out this year. The next film is very heavy. That'll be out, I believe, at Christmas, maybe next Christmas. It's a big.
I meant to
big
ask,
film.
has she said anything about the ruling that
Oh,
happened
yes.
today? Yeah.
Oh, yes. God love her. Of
Yeah.
course she has.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. She definitely has. Yeah. That's the last one you've got there, isn't it, Bedweer?
Yeah, that was it. So we've tried to provide some context for, where Doctor Who figures might go, based on, what they've done in the past. We've reflected on series openers generally, and obviously the more data we get as we go through the series, it is going to be fascinating. Particularly when we get that +7. Is that pre-transmission number going to increase significantly? Did the fact that they've moved it from at midnight to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Is that going to have made a significant difference? I doubt it, to be honest. But
I think
it
so.
might do. And we'll go from there. And each week we'll come back and try and draw more conclusions from the numbers that we get.
Exactly what he said. He'll be back after that. We've also, as he was saying there, we've also got. I'm very interested in the consolidated as well. So we've got a whole series of that. Bedweer, thank you so much for coming back to start off series 2 of our ratings analysis for this nonsense.
No problem.
Really, really good there. Talons of Wayne Chang has a question for you all, panel. Does the panel think that RTD is trying to write for too many demographics here? Kids, teenagers, adults, etc., rather than concentrating on just the one age demographic and running with it?
I haven't
No,
seen
I
it.
think-
I can't comment.
I think he just writes for the preferred TQI demographic and hopes that it will suck in kids along the way, because they target kids with everything they do. and they've stated that. So no, I don't. To be quite honest, I think he's way too narrow, and I don't think he's certainly not got what he had in 2005, and I'm not sure how much of that was purely just him, because I know he was controlled in 2005.
I agree with that. I think it should be for everyone, and it's not. Well, simple as that.
The difference I would say to you there, mate, is simply this demographic nonsense gets in the way of entertainment. Because it seems to be, oh, we've got to hit that, we've got to hit that, we've got to hit that, we've got to do this. It's like KPIs and targets, isn't it?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're going to alienate a majority. Now, in our day, with proper Doctor Who, 63 to 89, they didn't care about demographics. They didn't even know what it meant. They just wrote a good drama that anybody could sit down at 5:15 on a Saturday night and watch. And they could either love it and grow up with it or laugh at it and go, oh, look at that man in a rubber suit. But somebody got something out of it. And that's why Doctor Who became as big as it did, you know, and the parents knew that while they were cooking the dinner on a Saturday night or going out to the chippy to get the fish and tea or whatever it was going to be, they could put the kids in front of Doctor Who, and it was not going to do anything except maybe just give them a little bit of a fright, and that was fine. That's the secret of Doctor Who.
I was going to say just a word of warning to future producers of Doctor Who: don't alienate your fan base, okay?
And just write for everybody. Just write a story about a Time Lord in his TARDIS through time and space fighting monsters. You know, don't be worried about bloody demographics and all this nonsense. And of course, this is what Russell will be worried about, because he's part of all this segregation. These people on the far left are so busy segregating everybody and putting people into boxes so they can try and understand them. I don't know what's going wrong with these. He's 60-something years old. You know, he's the same age as the show. Chorus Sci-Fi and Fantasy. Hi, nice to see you. I was introduced to Doctor Who by the TV movie in '96. I've always felt it cheated that of a full series. Well, did you? I've always felt cheated that full series didn't follow, yet this trash has been going for years. Get it off the air. I am so glad, personally, it didn't go to a full series after 1996.
Yeah, as much as I love Paul McGann, I agree on that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Some of the storylines were atrocious and rehashes. You cannot remake Genesis of the Daleks or the Tomb of the Cybermen. It just wouldn't have worked. Here in the UK, it would not have worked. It would have been too Americanized, I can tell you that now, and it wouldn't have lasted after a season. We've got some more stories for you now coming up, everybody, so hold on to your hats. Bedwyr, you're staying with us, aren't you? So thank you again for that first part of ratings analysis.
No problem.
But they won't like this show because the cope will not, it won't cope. The cope won't cope. We might get that on a t-shirt, put it on the Who's Views shop. The cope won't cope. Look at this, everybody. This is one. Doctor Who boss RTD hits back at wokeness criticisms. The showrunner says he has no time for complaints for online warriors. That will include all of us on the show, of course.
Yeah, of course.
RTD has responded to complaints from some Doctor Who fans, some millions of us, who have labelled the show too woke. The showrunner made the comments during an appearance on the BBC Radio 2 show Doctor Who 20 Secrets from 20 Years, explaining that he had no time for these reactions from online warriors, otherwise known as fans, Russell. He says, someone always brings up matters of diversity, explained, and there are online warriors accusing of diversity and wokeness and involving messages and issues. And I have no time for this. I don't have a second to bear, because what you might call diversity, I just call an open door. When asked if he writes such themes into the show consciously, he added that, I think it's the only way to write. He continued, and I think it's harder to write with that narrow window. That's really the why. Why limit yourself? Why breathe in the exhaust films? Why be toxic? Come over here where the life and light and air and sound is. Well, I can tell you that today, Russell, you don't even know what a bloody woman is. So what are you talking about, you idiot? And quite frankly, that's why Doctor Who has failed with his writing. Because again, it shows he's ticking all these boxes. Yeah, and going for all this nonsense that he's just put out there, because that's what's in his head. That's what's running him.
He's the one that's making it narrow. He's making a narrow demographic. That's what we talked about, isn't he?
This is what he does, though. He is doing the very thing that he is supposedly railing against. Yeah. It's just another level of gaslighting. He's the one doing all the hate, all the nastiness. He's the one writing in straight white males and making them toxic, and then reversing them to sperm and an egg and aborting them and laughing about it. Yeah. That is absolute, pure, undiluted hatred for a demographic in society, and he thinks it's good. And then he's there saying, I've got no time for it. That's the only thing he's got time for, is a poisonous little man.
And yet the industry is telling him how brilliant he is for doing this, and that's why he believes it. But when you are writing with all these things in here, that's why Doctor Who is no longer Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is now just paint by numbers. It's basically got that in and that in and that in, and you can see it. And it's like those stupid adverts I'm always talking about, where you just don't want those things. Duncan the Funky Evans is saying the only demographic RTD is writing for is RTD. We've also got Stephen Braddock saying, well, he's not writing for cat lovers. Just Jordan is saying he writes for himself. RTD retire today, dummy, says Lex Kane. And Bill Lowry's coming in with, I think RTD's writing is just crap. It doesn't matter who he's writing for. I do think his day is done. And I think this very angry TQ cult drama that's going to appear on the on Channel 4, next year could be the last thing he does. Adventure, says Mudcrap, is for all ages. It is storytelling in the most attractive form, and a good adventure does not care what age you are. Well said. I think that's wonderful. Marie UK is saying targeting kids with sexual content in any way is gross. And C3PO, there is no modern audience. There's just an audience. Ooh,
yeah. Or lack of in this case.
Yeah.
We've got some cracking people with great comments in this chat, haven't we? So glad you're all with us, everybody. Andrew Dexter is also saying, well, try good stories. That would be a start.
Not rehash of previous episodes. Yeah,
because he's got no ideas anymore.
He can't do anything else. He cannot do anything else. He draws from other people's work constantly. I can't think the last time he had an original thought, really. You can always see his source material. You go back to Rose. I mean, God, he was ripping off Spearhead from Space, wasn't he? And right from the word go.
Yeah. This series is an insight into the mind of RTD and hired writers from back a year or so ago, says Robert Payne. Yeah, they'll be angrier now as well. Woodhouse 122, I've just read the interview with Mal Young in the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who magazine special. It needs someone like the BBC now, like him, to rein in RTD and the producers at Bad Wolf. Yes,
we said that.
Yeah. I mean, Ian said that as well. That he reckoned it was Mal Young that shaped RTD. I think there was as well. I think, looking back in hindsight, Paul, I think that was the case as well now.
Yeah.
Terrified Monk is saying the cracks in the RTD wall were just showing from the beginning. Talons, you're very welcome. He said thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the answers, rather. And thank you, Rose, for saying, hey, folks, show some love. Tap that like, share this video, hit and subscribe. Thank you, Rose Kirby. That's very sweet of you, darling. I always
You're hired.
Yeah, she's hired. Right, Charlie is saying to us, alternatively, don't make any more Doctor Who. There's enough. Let's celebrate that. We might get there.
We will be getting there. Yeah. Sadly, yeah.
Philip is saying, I've said this before, but AI could write a better show than RTD.
I think they are.
Worth trying.
That's why AI was the villain.
Yeah. RTD says Garbage is fully justified hitting at woke critics because his show AAI ratings and viewer ratings are amazing and fully justify what he does. Yeah. I mean, you can tell that was. I mean, he wouldn't care. He doesn't care, does he? He knows that the show is failing. They all know the show has failed, and yet they're all going to come up.
I don't know if they do. Like, they're still in this sea of denial of we're, what was that phrase that was used last year was about creatively the show has never been in a better place and stuff like that.
Charlotte Moore. Charlotte Moore, who's left the BBC now.
Well, funny that. I don't think they. I think it's just denial. It's that bubble of, everything's fine because what we're putting out is what we want to put out.
Yeah,
and audiences love it because they only hear from that small demographic that's worshipping the ground on which they walk.
It's called denial. This
is what you get when you live in an echo chamber.
Yeah. Yes. And entertainment, let's face it, is. And when you're going to go to these things that he goes to, where you've got all these clapping seals supporting you, say, oh, you're the best thing since. You're going to believe them. Moffat had the same thing. He believed his own press, and they both think they're wonderful and brilliant, and they've got huge egos. but no, actually. And yeah, to come back, I mean, like Marie UK saying to us here, hitting back at us won't stop us. We have our own minds and opinions, and we will express them. That's what fans do, isn't it, Marie UK? But the fact is, that's why people like him are angry right now, because we won't do what they tell us.
Yeah, we talked about this on Friday, didn't we? You know, it's all our fault. It's our fault the show is failing.
Yeah,
Nothing
it's
to do with the
starting.
writing.
Yeah.
Because we have the audacity to criticize, they're trying to shut us down. That's the thing, as always, you know.
Well, that's why they've been calling us for years optists, far right, phobes, because, but unfortunately, it's been used so much now. Those words mean nothing, absolutely nothing, because everybody's used to being called this.
In an artistic context, as a writer, a performer, whatever, you do things publicly and they get criticized. Take it on the chin, you know.
Yeah. Lots of you in the chat coming back with it. Just Jordan saying, online warriors, he needs to worry about his cult that attack with pure bile to anyone who expresses an opinion. Yes. I mean, look at the way he's ignored Juno Dawson and hired him to write an episode, the most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever, as well, as if to prove a point.
It's going to cost the series. That's what's going to happen, yeah.
And he's ignored the fact that Dawson is a known homophobe. Look at the way he ignores certain fans that have been criticizing other fans and being absolutely disgusting with their intent, quite frankly. Some of them have even been able to go to these alleged premieres and all this sort of stuff, as we have seen. Lex Kane is saying to us, so RTD is now calling true Doctor Who fans internet trolls. How dare you, RTD? They've all been doing it for years, Lex.
Yeah.
John Roberts, RTD is the problem, not everyone else. And Talons of Wayne Chang, RTD should have a word with the Supreme Court. They'll tell him what a woman is. After today, yes. We've got Cody W1 saying, bye-bye, Russell.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody. And Kev wants to know, after watching the last series in this episode, I was thinking about Mary Whitehouse. Can you imagine her response? I think she would have had a heart attack by now, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Mary Whitehouse in today's BBC?
No.
They wouldn't have dared, to be quite honest, would they? Because she would have been on him like a rash. Can you? Oh gosh, it's.
I mean, even in like the mid '90s, where you had sort of standards and practices, hovering over shows in the US. It's weird how all that sort of stuff has disappeared now.
Yeah, it is, because all the activists got into the entertainment industry as well. Honestly, I've encountered so many of them, and you just think, oh God, here we go. They're everywhere now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But after today, they're going to be shaken up, I tell you. Rewatching Charlton series, and I wonder how New Who has gotten so bad, said Ron Sapp. Yeah, I always think that when we're reviewing stuff for the reviews show, our normal review shows of Doctor Who. By the way, a lot of you were talking about Battlefield earlier on because of Gene. We lost Gene Marsh, didn't we, at the weekend? We are going to be reviewing it. Thank you for everyone that's been in touch. We will be reviewing Battlefield at some point and doing a little tribute to Gene. And we're going to be talking about Upstairs, Downstairs, and the House of Eliot as well. We're going to do a proper little thing for her. Jason Parker. RTD is toxic. He does close doors to demographics which don't tick his inflated ego. He is nothing more than a bully. He is not even a has-been. He is a never will be.
I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, there's a documentary on one of the DVDs where they're talking about Big Finish and how people at the BBC were cottoning on to, hang on, there's this company that does audio dramas, and RTD leaned across the table. He's quite open about this. Leaned and loomed large over them. Said, "That's fine. Leave it to me. Don't worry about it."
It was Mal Young,
yeah. He's got that in him.
Yeah,
he has, and he put Mal Young on that particular point in his place. They obviously pushed him too far because he was protecting his friends, wasn't he? We've got Stephen Braddock saying to us here, "Keep it up, RTD. England has an awful lot of grass. Not for much longer if Labour get their way." Honestly, building everywhere. We've got places near where I live, which are green belts, which are now going to be built on. It's disgraceful. Places in the Lake District are national heritage in the Lake District.
Crazy. Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing? And you know who the houses are going to as well. Come on. Oh, I'm so annoyed about it all. Hello, Julie Wendy. It shows how bad the industry is that he's still deemed a great writer. Yeah. It's shocking, isn't it? Although I do think I do hear of some people who say, but they won't say anything. They're too frightened.
No,
I think the thing is, we've discussed this before when we talked about the 20 years of New Who, and you look at the writing team he had for season 1, all the good episodes came from everyone else apart from him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You guys have said that before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, you have.
And some of the good writers he's never had back.
Yeah. Because they showed him up. Yeah.
You might think that we couldn't possibly comment, could we? Ooh. Austin Woods, hello, mate. I used to love the show, Doctor Who. Now it brings me joy by cracking me up every time it drops a new episode of the worst writing in modern content creation television. Well, I'm glad you said that because it's back this Saturday, isn't it? So yeah, but that's not the only thing, everybody, that's come into my inbox, as we used to say, and I really want to get this one in, and I was really annoyed about this one, everybody, and I want to share it with you to see if you lot, panel in the chat, if you lot are going to be annoyed about this one as well. I want to take you over to collider.com. What? I mean, these people, look at this, everybody. Audience score suggests review bombing has returned, says Jake Hodges of Collider. Okay, this is just the other day here.
Hold a minute. What is review bombing? What exactly is that?
Review bombing is when people review the show or a film or a theatre show or a book or whatever on purpose and bring it down.
Oh, right.
So it's things like Rotten Tomatoes. It's people posting comments on Amazon reviewing a DVD that hasn't come out yet because they don't like the style of Doctor Who animation that's being used. Okay. But doing that in advance of actual release or broadcast.
Yeah.
Is that something that the far left don't like, whilst at the same time critiquing GB News a year before it goes to air?
Yes. That's review bombing. Yeah, and that was
Funny
done allegedly
it?
by BBC employees because they didn't want a rival.
But that was okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Rose Kirby is saying to us, going to see the Penguin Lessons at the cinema. Good choice, Rose. I've seen it. It's beautiful. It's a great British film. Go and see it. And
That's Steve Coogan and Jonathan Price, isn't it? Yeah.
And a penguin.
And a
penguin. Who should be up for an Oscar. I'll tell you. Because he acted Shooty Gatwa off the... Anyway.
Well, that's diversity for the penguin gets it, that's for sure. Yeah.
It will be very good diversity, yeah. And then also go and see Rose if you can, Mr. Burton. So hello to you. Sheila B, nice to see you. Simon Mills, thank you very much. Good to see you as well. John D retired is with us. I stopped at Capaldi's second season, barely got through that, and the whole male to female regeneration bit. I just left after having watched since the mid-1970s. Gosh, yeah. And Cara, no worries, Cara, we'll see you later. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's get back to... Oh, hang on a minute. Lex Kane has given us a super chat as well. Let me just see if I can find that one. Thank you, Lex, for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Lots and lots and lots of you in the chat tonight. It's been really busy. Keep it coming because we've got one more story and I really want your opinions on it because it drove me insane. There it is, Lex. G. Marsh was the 1990s version of the Tomorrow People. Did she?
Was she in that? I don't remember.
I never
was
saw
that the version of the guy from Neighbours in it? Was it?
Yes,
yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Right.
It went for a couple of series, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Not as good as the original, obviously. Yeah.
Nothing's as good as the original. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this one from Collider. Let me know, obviously, panel, what you're going to think about this, and definitely you guys in the chat as well. As I said, audience score suggests review bombing has returned from Jake Hodges. Jake Hodges, I have no idea what you are on about.
How old is he? What's that picture? How old is he?
I don't know.
Looks like a walnut.
Listen to this. Much like a trip in the TARDIS to a dangerous planet in the distant future, it can be difficult to remember quite how we got to this place, but the reality remains nevertheless concerning. Review bombing has been a topic of much discussion over recent months, especially when it comes to those projects that have found themselves in a target of the anti-woke brigade. Next in the firing lane is the recent return of Doctor Who, which recently premiered its season 2 opening episode, The Robot Revolution. Written by RTD and directed by Peter Hoare, the first trip in season 2 for the Doctor and his new companion has been seemingly well received by casual viewers, with many others from
casual viewers.
within the universe declaring it a much better opener than last year's Space Babies. Alas,
That was
despite the
different.
positive reception and early perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, season 2 has awoken the ire of a mob of gang-handed internet dwellers. He's talking about all of us, everybody, who simply cannot handle the idea that a progressive show about a gender-fluid alien flying around time and space saving people has inclusivity on its mind. This has left the audience rating on the aforementioned Rotten Tomatoes at a shockingly low 46%, although this is at least a 16% improvement on last year's comparative figure. He then goes on to say, calling Doctor Who Dr. Woke shows a lack of understanding about the series. There is a strange opinion held by the bigoted few that Doctor Who has evolved in recent years into a series that stands for the rights of minorities in contrast to its 2005 revival status as, seemingly, a testosterone-fueled anti-woke campaign to keep our mainstream shows traditional. This simply shows a lack of understanding for a show that championed LGBTQ+ characters in its 2005 debut season, has explored gender roles since its 1963 inception, and has perpetually opened forward-thinking discussions about race and attitudes via the mask of an alien species. So I would just like to say to Jake Hodges, what a load of old crap you have just written and published there. The problem with these people is they have no clue about what we grew up with through 1963 and 1989 and 26 years of superior time and space travel. We are fans of Doctor Who and we want it protected. They've only come in from 2005 and they look at 2005 onwards from their
They
far
did that
left.
crappy article in Doctor Who magazine about the gender aspect of Doctor Who. Is that what they're referring to? From 63?
He's not a gender fluid alien at all. He was a male of his own species.
But yeah,
So
but they talked about gender issues from the 60s and various other things, and that pink issue you were talking about. Maybe you reviewed it. You know, is that based on that? Is it?
No, it's based on the fact that he's been a woman in the show. Look, it says they cannot handle the idea that a progressive show about a gender fluid alien. They mean because he's been a woman. He's been
That
Jodie
wasn't
Whittaker and
that
the
was
other one.
about. I meant when it said since 1963 they've had all these gender-based items in it. There's a bit there. Do you not see that? Where was that?
It says there, yeah, that LGBTQ plus characters in its 2005 debut season has explored gender roles since its 1963 inception.
Yeah, so when was that? When did they do that? In 63, 89? I'm not sure.
No idea. I don't know.
I think the only thing there is that classic Doctor Who always had, either behind the camera or in front of the camera, women in quite key roles. Intelligent women in dynamic roles, you know, all the way through.
Thanks,
they always had them, but it was never what it's about. It's never, oh, we've put a woman in this role.
Yeah, it didn't drive it, did it? Let's be honest.
No, it was, you know, you look at Random Troughton, Ice Warriors. There was a woman that was one of the key personnel in that story.
Miss Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you could do Seeds of Death, same thing, and it was not a problem. It was just accepted. It was one of those things. Men and women, believe it or not, were seen as equal, and it was normal. But now you advance 40, 50 years, and it's the only thing that they can talk about. It's really quite pathetic. And the writer of that article is a buffoon.
Totally.
Honestly.
Absolutely.
I really want to pick up on the review bombing element. I mean, I don't know why commentators put so much stock in Rotten Tomatoes, because it is vulnerable to, you know, not people being overly positive and people being overly negative. That's the nature of having an online, you know, system where people can add comments, and that's how it should be. But I thought they were going to start with, you know, before the episode was aired, it was having mixed reviews. I mean, it was having mixed reviews. You know, that's the invited few that were allowed to go and watch the premiere and who'd seen it in advance. Yeah. Now, the general public has actually seen it. Yeah, they're sharing an opinion. Some of them liked it. Some of, you know, the majority seem to not like it that much. But the general narrative is, oh, well, it was better than Space Babies, and that's reflected in the Rotten Tomatoes score, which is 16% or whatever it said, higher than...
It's not many people, though, of the public. Let's face it. It's minimal.
That's such a low bar as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if that's the bar that you're trying to hurdle, then fine. But Yeah, it's just like well, what you can't use Rotten Tomatoes as an example of people is expressing their opinions and then criticizing them for doing that if it doesn't agree with your narrative that Doctor Who is great and everything is wonderful about it, because the audience isn't watching it, as we've proved, at least in the UK, and those who are taking the time to go on Rotten Tomatoes or other sites, wherever it might be, yeah, some of them might have opinions that are different from isn't RTD brilliant?
Yeah.
Well, he's not.
And that
quite
should be
frankly.
allowed. Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's not for them, is it? It's not for them. But him to write a stupid article like that, where again, this is what I'm saying. We're going to get more of this. It's our fault this show's failed. It's our fault. And anybody that dares criticize it, well, as I've said before, it's a fan's job if to criticize or praise. And at the moment, we don't like it. That doesn't mean we're Islamophobes or far right or whatever you think you are, you idiot fool.
Come back to this channel in a couple of days after this video has had a few comments on it, and see how they lay into us about highlighting the viewing figures and providing context. But because it doesn't fit their narrative of, oh well, actually everyone watches on the iPlayer, everything's fine, we'll get as you say, called ists and nots and phobes, for purely reporting real numbers that are widely in the public domain.
I was going to go back to want to raise something again about the gender fluid aspect, right? This gets me so annoyed, because if this is part of the narrative, why did Russell take the time to slag off the Doctor and the Star Beast that he didn't understand because he was a male presenting Time Lord? If gender is fluid, then why does he not understand what's going on? Doesn't make any sense,
This is where the whole thing went wrong. The show started to go wrong with putting a woman in there. And I've said it before, I don't care. Call me what you like. I didn't want a female Time Lord as the Doctor in 1981, and I certainly didn't want one in 2016 or 2017 or whenever they decided to do it, because I knew it wasn't the Doctor. The Doctor had been established as a male of his species, but no, they had to go with this. Oh, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have. They didn't, and they should have. We theorize about how Capaldi left, right?
Yeah,
they should have just ended it there, or have had the balls back in 2005 to say this is Doctor One, Day One, and made a totally different show, which I think is where they're going to have to possibly go next time, personally, because it's got, as I said before, it's got too much baggage now, this show, and anybody that's going to take it on in the future. Thank you, Theodore Benson, for your comment, by the way. If anyone who takes it on in the future now is going to have to be very brave to say either reboot the whole thing as a proper reboot, or forget what's been going on in this to try and get people back into it and do a soft reboot, which doesn't ever refer to the 20 years that have just passed with this nonsense. It's a very difficult decision for somebody to make. We've got Terrified Monk.
New companion. End of.
Yeah, I agree. Terrified Monk is saying even the review bombers don't care anymore. Duncan, the Funky Evans, the 100% was the professional reviewers, wasn't it? Craig Dunlop is saying, boo, audiences with a mind of their own. How dare they? Sheila B. and the Devotions, Rotten Tomatoes is rotten. What ward is he in? Asked Kev Gresham. He needs to remain under constant supervision. Calling it Dr. Woke, says what Woodhouse wants to do, is an understatement. Yep. Tim Kintz, Collider tried to abuse me on X while bitching about J.K. Rowling. They also do Harry Potter articles on a daily basis. They are absolute poison in my eyes. Look, get with Britain, you people over there writing for Collider in America. Have a look at Britain, because common sense is coming back to us, and actually, strangely, to you guys as well. You just don't want it. Simon Mills is saying to us, if it's so well received, why was there only 2 million?
Yeah.
And Pete Harrington is saying, I just want to be entertained. I've showed this before, but Lex was saying to us, G. Marsh was the villain in series 2 of the Tomorrow People reboot. Never saw it. It was a bit too old for it. The article has my blood boiling, says Stephen Braddock. It had mine too as well. I read it twice and thought, how dare they? Here they go again. And this is what I'm talking about in this show, isn't it? Cope. They can't cope, so they're going to transfer the blame to us, because it hasn't been review bombed. It's being given honest reviews from what people think. James Smee, they're just setting the stage ready to blame us all for killing it off rather than RTD.
Yeah.
Yep, it's happening. That's what's going on. It's all our fault.
They can smell it, can't they? They can smell it in the water, like Jaws, 50 years old this year. They can smell it. Stephen Meyer is saying to us, but the show must evolve. It hasn't evolved in its current form. It's devolved.
It's all about change, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah.
It does have to evolve, and that's what it does naturally, but not by forcing agendas into it, which is going to alienate in our country more than 50% of your viewer base, because it's now only on 2 million.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Duncan, again, throw the Star Wars fan stick out as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Harrington is saying subversive, not progressive. That's a good word. What else we got here? Julianne, what are you saying to us? Jake Hodges has the 13th Doctor silhouette on his Collider ID page. That says it all. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And problem being saying Collider, you're talking bollocks, mate. The Daleks had no pronouns, says Mudcrab.
Yet.
Outrageous.
You're not going to get to see them again for a long while on television. I'm going to call it right now. And Demorpin, Collider are shameless shills. Oh, I managed to say it. Well done. Collider is on crack, says Marie UK. Explore gender roles. Yeah, said Robert Payne. Some women had jobs on screen.
Especially I know, where's the criticism of Galaxy 4's portrayal of the Dravins?
Yeah, being evil. Yeah,
they were the evil ones, and they're women. Outrageous.
And why did they never, ever remember who the first producer of Doctor Who was?
Yeah.
And to date, the only woman producer of Doctor Who.
But they remember
probably. They do remember Warris the same, but do you think there's an element of Verity Lambert that, yes, she was the first producer, yes, she was a 26-year-old woman, but one of the reasons they seldom mention her is because it's the BBC and she was Jewish? I'm just going to put it out there because they have a problem with Jewish people, don't they?
Allegedly.
In my opinion, yeah.
They
have. I think they have a problem with Jewish people. They've been very pro.
I think they have a problem with anybody that doesn't sit on the same fence as them. Because I was watching that stupid news interview where they were trying to hook Kemi Badenoch into looking stupid because she hadn't watched a drama on the telly.
Yeah.
And I just looked at those two producers and thought, I'd fire you two after that. And apparently they're still there, and they've been there for years. But
she handled it beautifully, though, don't you think?
In fairness, she did.
Yeah, handled
it very well.
Yeah.
But honest to God, from the clip I saw, because I don't watch it, obviously, those two people whose name I can't remember, I just thought, you are not good journalists. You are not good presenters. I'd fire you like that.
They were just studying off, weren't they? That was the thing, you know?
Yeah. The current era is not woke. It's just utter complete rubbish. Rubbish writing, rubbish actors, and rubbish monsters, says Dalek Eye. And Stephen Braddock saying, it sounds like they are setting us up for the fall when the show is cancelled, that it's not their fault, they're lying hypocrites. It's great to see you all commenting on that. I was outraged on all of us when I read that. I just thought, how dare you?
When it comes off the air, that there will be that finger pointing at us, even though we've been told not to watch it anyway, so we can't be to blame for its failure. But there will be all that for a while. But they will not, over time, they will become less and less able to hide away from the fact that they destroyed it over a number of years. They just won't be able to avoid it. Truth always comes out. We know that.
Yeah. It's easier when the thing's not on air and then a few years have lapsed, because then they can write their books. They can go on shows like this, because this is here now. We didn't have this in the wilderness years. And to all of those people, I'll be saying you'll be very welcome. You will be very welcome on Who's Views to come and talk to us when the time is right. And grab yourselves a cup of tea and come and tell us your stories, because we want to know. It's all going to be out there, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do. I'm sure there's books in ready preparation. And, they've got to be so far away.
Can we get Shooty on first? He'll need a few quid when he's out of work. So
no, we can't.
I'd make him bloody cry, I tell you.
The Space Babies bar is so low you can just step over it, says Sharda Knox. And this one from John Roberts. How many of the so-called modern Who fans will, when the show is cancelled, follow RTD's future shows? I think not. I'm going to ask you, John, how many of them are following now? He's pushing the fact that Netflix has suddenly dropped, without his knowledge, one of his dramas. I don't know which one it is. Can't remember.
Years and Years, I think.
Thank you.
Yes.
Which I'm not interested in. From what I heard, it was just his version of what would be like. Strangely, with a government he didn't approve of, which was probably a Tory government.
Yeah.
But yet here we are in reality with a government he voted for and does approve of and hasn't said anything negative about them when there's so much to talk about.
Mm.
You don't see these show business people going, oh, excuse me. And him and Carol Vorderman like that, aren't they, on the Instagram? And she, you know, she's been quite quiet, hasn't she, as well? They're not. Why aren't they criticizing the government? Why are they not doing that? Why are they blinded by all this nonsense? You know, they really are. Have you noticed, two viewers? Selective they are. And yet they'll all be going out today going, oh my God. What?
They're afraid of criticism, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're afraid of reality. They're
Yeah.
afraid of reality. They're not going to criticize the government because they voted them in and they petitioned for them. And yet every choice that the current government has done, arguably, right, has been wrong. Wrong. They're not going to criticize them on anything.
No.
You know, because they put them in there. So it's selective. And yet today they'll be out after the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
We're going to be keeping an eye on RTD's Instagram. I reckon he's just seething at the moment, and he might put something out very soon. It's a bad play treating the viewers as if they worked on the show and should be blamed for it not reaching targets, says Millywig Zed. Good point.
I mean, we were on Friday almost promoting the show, so you know we did our bit, telling people it was on,
Yeah.
when it was on. You know,
In all seriousness, if you were into all this DEI crap, it doesn't change the fact that the show stinks like a sewage treatment centre, says Domco. And spoiled brats that can't handle the reality that people just aren't buying what they're selling, says Mark A. Wright.
Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah, it is well said. Listen, I want to say thank you to everybody that's been commenting in the chat tonight. You've been brilliant, as usual. As usual. What's this from Rose? Rose Kobe sent to us, hey panel, I wish that I could watch more than YouTube season 2 episode 2 looks. I'm intrigued to what the episode will be like and what different reviewers will say about it. What do you mean different reviewers? Oh, you mean the review bomb people? I mean,
Spoiler coming up. Roger Rabbit's in it, apparently. There you are. So,
can you imagine that? Well, yeah, we've got one more headline to go before, of course, we're reviewing looks. That's going to be on Friday here on the channel at 8 o'clock. We're going to be, doing all the usual stuff that you want to do. We're going to be looking to see what the latest headlines are. I want to thank everybody that's been in the chat tonight. It's great to see you all. I'm glad you've liked the subjects, but keep having a bit of a laugh in there now as well. Keep with us. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you have already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel and ring that bell. Because who knows, whenever they drop a headline, we're going to be here to talk about it. And I still reckon there's going to be a lot more during the next 7 to 8 weeks of this thing, I can assure you. We've also got the Sea Devil thing coming up as well, haven't we, everybody?
I forgot about that as well.
Yeah.
do I have to count on my fingers how many people are watching that as well?
I know.
That should be dead easy, that one.
Whoa. That's something we're going to keep an eye on. We are going to be looking at the ratings on that one as well, if Bedouin doesn't mind as well, because that's going to be very interesting. How the Hooniverse seems to have fallen in just a couple of years. It didn't really take off at all, did it? You know?
No.
Oh, no. To Third Doctor Ian, to Paul, and to Bedouin, thank you for joining me for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've enjoyed all the chat. We mustn't forget anything about what we've been talking about because it's all going to come back soon, I'm sure. Yeah.
But thank you. Great fun.
Yeah. We need to remember it all, don't we, everybody? Especially this. I kind of know that the Doctor's reached the status of like Robin Hood, said RTD. Sometimes there might be a pause, and during that pause, the viewers of Newsround now will grow up and start writing stories, and they'll bring it back. So I have absolute faith that Doctor Who will survive because I am living proof of it. And that's what happens to good ideas. No good idea ever dies. That's what he said, of course, on Newsround last week, which strangely has now been edited so it's not there.
Well, a good idea never dies unless you strangle it to death, obviously. Yeah.
We'll be back Friday, live at 8 with headlines here on Who's Views. Until then, have a great day. Tomorrow, we'll see you on Friday. Ta-ra, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.